this project, I'm doing an acrylic pour swipe. So to do this, I had to create a pouring medium first. And that pouring medium, I then mixed with my paint. So to create the pouring medium first, I bought some Floetrol and filled up a container. It's a squeeze bottle container. Here it is. And to that, I added the Floetrol to that container. And Floetrol is just a paint additive that house painters use to thin the paint so that it'll go through like a paint gun. And you can buy it at any of your local home improvement stores. So to the Floetrol, I added 1 teaspoon of Minwax Pre-Stain, which is a wood conditioner. And the American Floetrol doesn't have a particular ingredient added to it, but the Australian Floetrol does have that ingredient. And somebody's figured it out that that ingredient is in this wood stain. So that's why we add the wood stain to the Floetrol. It's supposed to help with the lacing and cell creation. That all starts getting way above my head. So this is just a practice piece. So I'm still very, very new to this. So once I made up the pouring medium, from there I just mixed those two together with within my squeeze bottle, and then that pouring medium I added to my paint at a 4:1 ratio because I was using a very thick paint. And then I added a little bit of water to thin to the desired consistency. And for me, I wanted the consistency to be like it poured off of my popsicle stick, but left a trace mound in the cup that disappeared quickly. So it wasn't super thin, but it would run off the popsicle stick and leave a little mound in the cup, but that mound disappeared quickly. I hope that makes sense. So then I covered, in a kind of thick coat, my little disc. Now this is a practice project, so for me, I'm using a chipboard disc. Now, I mixed all of my paint up with the Floetrol pouring medium, and I did red, orange, a gold, and white. And then I am taking the paint and just I'm layering little sections of paint. And I'm taking a plastic, this is a presentation cover that you can get at an office supply store. It's just sheets of kind of stiff plastic that you would use to cover a presentation. I cut that into little strips, and I'm using that to swipe the paint over the black. And then the Floetrol mixed in with the paints is going to create a lacing effect, and it's going to kind of break up the paints. I am also staggering my paint placement. So I'm not doing just a solid line. I'm going to stagger their positions. I'm also stacking each row of paint. I'm stacking in a different order. And when I'm swiping, I'm placing my card, my little plastic sheet, on one half of the paint puddle and dragging that out, and then dragging the other half of the paint puddle out. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to keep staggering and kind of rotating my colors through the puddles as I progress to the end of the coaster. If I didn't like the way the swipe looked, I re-swiped it again, and then if I still didn't like it, I relayered the paint and just did the swipe all over. And I didn't have any issues doing that. So like I said, I'm very new to this technique. This is just the way that I did it. I'm probably going in the future probably going to try some different pouring medium bases and some different techniques. It's very messy. Acrylic pouring is very messy. And I don't have a lot of space in my work area, so I don't like things to get too messy and out of control. So I struggled with that a little bit. And if you've seen my videos, and when I just paint with normal paint, I'm always covered in paint. So I struggle to stay clean. So this project, I was just covered in paint. It was ridiculous. I don't know how I always end up covered in paint, but this was even worse. So just keep that in mind if you do want to try this technique. It is a little messy. Now in this video, I'm going to show you my 4 different coasters, the way I made each one. Each one is a little different. This is the only one where I did individual paint puddles and then staggered the swipes. I do like the way this one looks the best, I think. The next 3, you're going to see I do just one solid line. And I did 3 of those to try to figure out what order of paint I liked best. And at some point I use a different size swiping tool. So I was just trying to kind of figure things out, but I am going to show you how I did each of the 4 coasters. Now I'm just showing you this swipe technique, but some ideas you could either leave them alone, and this could just be the finished project because they're beautiful. The way the gold shimmers through the colors it's just stunning. But you could paint a design. Once this is dry, paint a design on top of it, a flower or something like that, a little scene. You could do words. I did a mock-up that I put on my Facebook group to see what people thought, where I just did a word in white, and that was it was a mock-up done on my iPad. I didn't actually paint the words on there, but I mocked it up with 4 different, words of inspired, dance. I can't even remember what they all were, but they were words of inspiration. And I actually liked the way that looked. If I do this again on for an actual project that I would try to sell, I will I would probably do the words on there. Okay, so here is coaster number 2. And like I said, on this one, I'm just going to swipe one long strip of paint, and I'm layering each color on top of one another. And I'm going to use the same little swiping tool for this project as well. I have seen where people, you can use like paint chip cards that you get for free at the home improvement stores. I've seen where people use paper towels to swipe, like if you were doing a big project, using a paper towel to swipe it. That was kind of interesting. So anything that'll kind of sit on the paint and drag it across your black base will work. You also don't have to just use 4 colors of paint. You can do as many as you want, or as few as you want, I guess. I would definitely do more than 2, or no fewer than 2. But you can really switch this up and, try all kinds of, different color combinations and layering, number of layers. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to fast forward through this section because you've seen me swipe the paint, and then I'll slow it back down when we get to the next coaster. That'll be coaster number 3. So now we're on coaster number 3. And again, I'm doing the same method that I used in coaster number 2. I'm just layering my paints in a different order. And so since this is technically the same swipe as I did last time, just a different order, I'm going to fast forward through this one as well. And then I'll slow it down for coaster number 4. There is one thing I wanted to let you know. Excuse me. After I do the swipes, I take a propane torch, like a butane torch that you would use in your kitchen, and I do quickly torch over the paint, to get air bubbles out. And I have done that on all 3 coasters, and we'll do it on the 4th. I think on the 4th one you actually get to see me do that. So now we're on coaster number 4. And again, I have my thick black base coat. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to do the stripe down the whole piece or across the whole piece. And I'm going to layer, but each one of these are layered differently. So the color combination is different. And it does change up the way the coaster looks depending on, what order your paint is in. Depending on where your red or your gold or your orange is will kind of determine what's the more dominant color on your coaster. So on this one, I'm using a wider swipe tool. For all of these other ones, I used a thin swipe tool, thin piece of plastic. This one I'm using, it's a little bit thicker. It's about twice as big as the original. The original was maybe half an inch or a little wider. This is an inch or a little wider. I don't exactly remember, but it is bigger. And that's going to do a different effect on here. You could also do a card or a piece of plastic and just do one swipe per side. And that's going to give it a completely different look. And there's the butane torch, and it's just to get the bubbles off the paint so that paint's so thick. So here's the finished project. I love the way they look. I hope you will give this a try. If you do, let me see what you've come up with, and you can post it over on my private Facebook group. The link is down in the description below. It's Rocking It with April May, and I will see you guys in the next video.